So yeah, I'm Lauren Lestromo Allen. I'm with SUNY Empire State University. I'm assistant professor and also the assistant director of our Center for Autism Advocacy, Research, Education, and Supports, or CARES. And I'll turn it over to my colleague, Andrea.
Hello, everyone. My name is Andrea Piazza. I also work at Empire State University, and I work in the Office of Accessibility Resources and Services. Yeah, looking forward to talking to you a little bit about this. Thanks.
Awesome. And I'm going to save our panelists' introductions because they can do a brief introduction when we shift into the panel. We're really excited. This is the closing webinar session in our four-part series on neurodivergent in college. We're going to be kind of speaking about health and social emotional well-being tonight. As always, we want to just acknowledge that this is a safe space. At the conclusion of the event, we'll stop the recording. So if there's any questions or comments that you'd prefer to share in a smaller setting, you can certainly do that. You'll hear us use person first, as well as identity first language. We're really shifting to identity first to really be responsive to the emerging consensus from a lot of disability advocates and disability groups. And again, engage however you like. If you want your camera on, fine. If you want your camera off, fine. If you want to share a comment by raising your hand and talking out loud, you can do that. If you want to put a comment, type a comment in the chat, that's great too. We're just really grateful that you're here. I'm going to just do a quick reminder. If you're local to the Capital Region of New York, we would love to welcome you to our Teen Neurodiversity Club that is happening on July 8th, 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. Eastern. It is an in-person event, and they're held at the Saratoga Springs Public Library. Kate just put the registration link in. The event's free, always free. If you're not in the Capital Region of New York and you love the sound of this and want to figure out how we can figure something else out, please just let us know. I'll put our email in the chat right now, autism@sunyempire.edu. All right. Please, if you want a link to our resources, this is our folder for all the sessions. There's a lot of really great resources that we'll talk about today. You can take out your phone and you can open your camera, and then a QR code will pop up that you can click on. If you have any trouble accessing that, when Andrea is speaking in a moment, I'll put the direct link in the chat as well. We're going to just, as we always do, kind of give a quick overview and background on our topic for tonight, and then we'll shift into our panel. So we're really, as we shared, really excited to highlight a lot of resources that are out there. And I think, if not all, most of these resources have really been developed in collaboration with autistic and neurodivergent and disabled individuals, right, at the center. So highlighting health, mental health aspects, overall well-being from that lens. So this first resource we're really excited to share is the Mental Health Guide for Autistic College Students. This was put out by the Organization for Autism Organization for Autism Research. And if you want, again, you can do the QR code here, or you're also welcome to get it from our resource folder. And I'll turn it over to Andrea. Andrea's going to kind of walk you through some of the content from this great resource that will really be a nice preview, I think, of what are some of the things we'll be talking about today.
Unmute. There we go. I'm not seeing a screen. Am I supposed to be?
Oh, sorry, everybody. Let me do that. Love it. All right.
I can recap.
Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Yes, you can. So
Awesome.
Just curious, do you want to go back a little bit to show the QR code?
Sure. We can also put stuff in the chat. I know we are all short on time. Yeah, here is the image of the resource guide. Yeah. And then the QR code, they'll take you directly to it.
Okay. Thanks. All right. Okay. So today we're going to be focusing on, overall well-being, because that is a significant aspect of, attending college, and something that, taking care of yourself is huge towards anybody's success. So these are just some different ideas and things to keep in mind, talking about, eating, 3 meals a day, having snacks in, making sure they are getting enough sleep, because sleep is, very important for us to be able to focus, scheduling breaks as appropriate as you find that it's best for you. It looks different for everybody. Also keeping your spaces clean, keeping organized, what works best for you. Also, basic hygiene can go a long way towards somebody's overall well-being. And moving your body, exercise. I know there's a lot of research out there that talks about our ability to process information, and do those cognitive processes. So bless you, make time for people to support you and bring you joy, especially when you're working hard and you have a lot of goals. Changing that, getting out of the space of homework, papers, things of that nature, and going and doing something you really enjoy can be very beneficial. And then make that second bullet, or that last bullet, as I said, making things for you enjoy. It's really important. Okay, next slide. Mental health. Mental health services will be helpful for individuals in things. So I'm seeing, yep, thank you. Managing feelings, learning coping strategies. Perhaps it's something that a student has never learned prior, to going to mental health services. Problem solving, there's so many issues that come up with, being a student and the social aspect. So having an unbiased person to be able to talk about those things, learning scripts for having difficult conversations. Sometimes social situations don't come naturally to all of us. So thinking about, the situation and, responses you're comfortable with, ways to keep safe and safety planning. That's, important for anybody. And also, these services will also help students with just navigating challenging situations. And it, is likely to change all the time as life goes on and things happen. Okay. So here we have a cartoon illustration with some speaker, or I think more of thinking dialogue bubbles. When should I seek help? Understanding when it's good to reach out and not letting it go too long before you find yourself in a more difficult situation. Reaching out for help as soon as you're aware of some of these things going on. So some things to think about. It says here in the bullet, I'm spending more time than usual in bed, or I'm not able to do work or see friends. That's probably a time where you notice those things in yourself where you might want to reach out for help. Another bubble is talking about those feelings, and often the negative feelings, more so than the positive. They're angry, upset more than they're relaxed or happy. Another one, I'm failing, I'm not studying or working hard enough. I'm feeling a sense of overwhelmed all the time. So, those are all kind of cues that might prompt one to think, okay, what resources do I have around me, and seeking help to know how to cope with these things, and what strategies could you implement. How can parents, family, or friends help? Having somebody there that knows you well and, can point out, hey, you seem kind of really stressed lately. Somebody who can recognize signs or changes in your behavior. That's the biggest thing. When those speakers were talking about those feelings that they were having, they themselves were recognizing changes in behavior, but also the other people around you might. You want to isolate yourself. You're not as interested in the activities that you once used to. Again, feeling very stressed, overwhelmed. Having those people around you to develop a plan for how to approach, or how to move forward and get yourself in a positive space, or work on it, or seek the help, are all things that your support people around you. Maybe even it's a coworker. It doesn't necessarily have to be a family or a parent. And then getting you help to get connected to the resources. That's a huge thing that your circle, those people could be, is like helping get you connected. Sometimes it's just taking that step. Okay. Here we have we're looking at some templates or some scripts that might be helpful, in regards to if you are in a university as a student, and how to go about asking for help when you're doing well, when you're really struggling, and also within your community. So here are some questions along the side that you could consider when contacting either the university or the community. And these steps on the left really will help make your time when you're contacting a university or with somebody within your community the most efficient. You're being very direct, very specific, and letting them know what you need help with, and putting that request in, of what is it that you're looking for from them.
Yeah, and just to add to that, Andrea, so this checklist of how do you approach, so it's not as straightforward as, right, like maybe we would like it to be. So if, as Andrea highlighted, you've identified that I think mental health services would be really helpful for me, then it's really a question of what do you want those mental health services to look like, right? Weekly, as needed? Do I want to access them at my university, online, in the community? And there's different ways to find providers. We did put a link. A lot of people use this Psychology Today's Find a Therapist because there's a lot of filters. You can identify what you want their specialty to be, what you want their approach to be, how do you want to pay for it. There's a lot of options, and it's really all sorted by kind of your zip code in a lot of cases. If you're using services in the community, you have to identify how you might pay for those, right? Paying out of pocket, using insurance, and so forth, using Medicaid. Contacting the provider, not always so straightforward, right? Do you want to send an email? Do you want to chat? Do you want to call? Again, if you're using the Psychology Today website, you can message them directly through the website, which is really nice. You have to confirm if they're taking new clients. You have to confirm the type of payments they accept, their availability. And so just when you're making that contact, you want to have your planner available so that you're able to quickly, identify if a time might work. And I think we would all highlight, if you tried to reach out and you weren't able to secure a provider or, make an appointment at that moment. If it's a service that you think would be really helpful, stick with it. You may need to contact a few providers in order to access that. And as Andrea highlighted, those scripts there are really helpful. All this is really listed out in the resources. Thanks so much, Andrea. Next, we wanted to kind of shift over from mental health really more broadly to healthcare. Many of you may know or have experienced personally the challenges associated with moving from healthcare when you are accessing your pediatric providers to when you make that shift into accessing adult providers, right? And all the challenges that are associated with making that change, right? So preparing for that early and engaging, being really intentional in an ongoing manner will really support that process. We can't speak highly enough about all these resources, and we really love this Aspire Healthcare Toolkit. It was participatory informed, developed by autistic individuals. You can see on the website here, which is the website's just autismandhealth.org. You're able to access information if you're a patient or a supporter of a patient. And healthcare providers are also able to access that information. When you get, here's the link if you want to check this resource out now. It's just wonderful. I can't tell you how cool it is. I'm going to show you. So once you get into the patient and supporters area, this is just a snapshot, but there's so many different sections that you can go into. So forms and worksheets, right? It's going to have checklists for before your appointment, checklist for during your appointment, checklist for after your appointment, scheduling an appointment. It's just fabulous. Communicating about your symptoms, following up. You're going to have access to your information about your rights within healthcare, tools that will help you advocate for different accommodations within the context of your healthcare. So the list goes on and on. Here's just one example of a checklist that they have. So what to bring to a visit, right? Your health insurance card, if you have one, something fun to do in case you have to wait, sensory items if you want them, right? If you anticipate that the appointment, the office setting might be loud, you might want to bring those headphones. List of questions, things you want to talk about, right? Coming with those prepared and in hand or on your device digitally so that you can recall the things that are priorities for you, the questions that you have, and so forth. So really great tool. Please check that out. Here's another one. It's a little bit shorter. This is the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network's Healthcare Transition Toolkit. And they have kind of a slightly different lens. They actually pull from a lot of the Aspire healthcare resources, but they do give you some additional information that I thought was really helpful. They highlight that between the ages of 18 and 26, many individuals, right, whether you have a disability or not, will age out of their original healthcare coverage. And that can be really challenging. So how did I then access healthcare? So planning in advance for that continued healthcare funding or access, exploring whether you may be able to continue to participate on your parent or guardian's plan, whether you'll be able to access coverage through your employer, whether you will buy individual coverage, whether you'll be able to access Medicaid coverage aligned to having a disability, or whether you'll be able to access Medicaid through an income-based need. As always, thinking about the support network, that's going to be really critical within healthcare advocacy. So that might be informal support, or it might be more formal support. So within the United States, the two kind of main avenues for this can be medical power of attorney, or also referred to as a healthcare proxy, or having a HIPAA release so somebody else is able to kind of access and engage within that process. Another thing for those of us who are in the K through 12 realm, just advocating and working so that some of those healthcare aspects and skills that will be needed and advocacy that will be needed can be reflected within goals in the individualized education plan, particularly within the transition aspect components of that. And then developing a system, whether it's, a file folder, whether it's a Google Drive or what have you, but something that's going to allow you to maintain all your medical records and those sorts of things. Again, we talked about this in our last session, and Andrea touched on this too, but just think about who are your people? Who are the people that support you? What are the services that support you within this realm, within health, within mental health, and thinking about how to continue to build those support systems and engage with those support systems. And with that, we are going to shift over to our panel. I'm going to stop sharing. All right. And first, let me go ahead and spotlight. Kate, will you help me to spotlight the panelists?
Yep.
I'm going to try to stop spotlighting. There we go. As always, thanks, Andrew, for putting that in chat. We welcome any questions anybody has in the chat as we go. And then otherwise, we have some prepared that we will definitely chat through. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. Add myself down there. Perfect. All right. So panelists, let's go ahead and give a quick 30-second hello introduction, who you are, why you're here, all that good stuff. I'm just going to go around my screen, alphabetical order. So Andrew.
Hi. Thank you again for having me here again. I'm not only a self-advocate, but I also do a lot of different work. I work as a teacher assistant at a local school here in Connecticut. And I also have my freelance brands. I do a lot of public speaking services and other collaborative efforts for organizations all around. And yeah, just can't wait to have here. And doing 2 Zooms is my second one. So the home sketch. My school just had the graduation, so everything's kind of been pretty busy. So thank you for having me here.
Thanks, Andrew. Next, we'll go to Bryant, and then we'll go to Eric and Ryan. So Bryant, you're up.
Hi, I'm Bryant. I'm a student here at SUNY Empire. I'm the SGA Vice President. ADHD, I'm an HIV advocate, LGBTQ community, neurodivergent, and I am back in school after a very long time. I've finally taken all of these services that have been offered, and it's been my most successful time coming back to school since 2007. So happy to talk with all you guys, and I'm excited to answer these questions.
Thanks so much, Brian. Eric.
Hello everyone. My name is Eric. I'm a graduate of Manhattanville College. I graduated back in May 2021 with a major of global and international studies, and I minored in French and philosophy. Uh, I'm currently volunteering at the New York Common Pantry and the Mexican Coalition, and I'm currently searching for a job.
Thank you so much, Eric. All right, and Ryan.
Hello, my name is Ryan. I am a alumni of SUNY Empire State in science, mathematics, and technology and information technology. And I am also neurodivergent. I have high functional autism, and I am passionate in helping, doing research and contributing to help neurodivergent people and neurotypical people live better lives.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Ryan. All right, and I'm going to go with our first question. We're going to come to Eric and then Ryan, and I'm also going to put the questions in the chat. What are some ways that you manage your health and your health care?
I would say I manage my health by listening to relaxing music, um eating fruits and vegetables, and exercising, and trying to get a good night's sleep.
Wonderful, Eric. Thank you so much. Those are really, yeah, you highlighted a lot of the things I feel like that Andrea just mentioned earlier. That's wonderful. All right, and I'm going to come to you, Ryan. We'll come back to Ryan on that one. Brian, did you want to add anything about how you manage your health and your health care?
Sure. So for me, healthcare is very important, but it never used to be. So this time around in school, it's actually something that I advocate for, not only for myself, but for others who may not know or be scared to speak up. I'm a very high functioning neurodivergent. My realm is really big on the actual advocacy part. So like I've really learned how to talk about myself and my own problems. So for me, it's really being open and honest and being very self-aware of myself. So keeping a journal of certain feelings that I'm feeling mentally, emotionally, physically, just because sometimes for myself with my health, every little thing can scare me, or I can feel that it's too much. So makes a health journal. A health journal is one way that I keep a very good record. It's called like my health diary. It's actually something I'm in the process of creating for production for people with ADHD. So like that, it's like kind of simplified but kind of fun, so you can do it. But I've been trying to do that for a little while now. So, but yeah, keep a journal and find something that works for you with that journal, because every journal has got to be created for yourself. So that's why I created my own.
That's great. That's a great recommendation. I'm not familiar with those. I want to look into that more. That's really cool, Ryan. Ryan, is there anything you wanted to add to some of the ways you manage your health and your health care?
Yeah, sure. So some of the you and I, Drea, were talking about earlier, ensuring good sleep schedule, following a balanced diet and nutrients, engaging in physical activities such as walks, using coping skills for stress and anxiety. Sometimes people might like to take walks or like listen to music or do crafts, pursuing hobbies to relax on the mind, regular taking prescribed medicine to manage health conditions and keeping a clean home and practicing good hygiene.
Awesome, Ryan. Thank you so
Also
much.
for
Yeah,
mental
again.
health,
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
for mental health management, monitoring personal well-being, stress, and anxiety levels. Sometimes if you can like feel the stress and anxiety, you can just stop what you're doing, take a step back, and you can like realize that you have it, and then maybe you can take a minute to like wind down and calm down, use your coping skills. Having a support system. It's important to say no to uncomfortable situations and avoiding peer pressure. And we talked about this last time, avoid procrastinations by studying tests promptly. Also, one thing I didn't hear before, I I handle a lot of my health stuff myself, but I also have my mom. I think it's good to have a health advocate that could help speak up for you, health-wise, to help take care of your needs as well.
Those are fabulous, Ryan. Thank you so much for sharing that. Again, we're seeing kind of a lot of overlap, right? Just like uh, getting the support that you need, eating well, sleeping well, right? Knowing when it's too much, saying no. I saw Brian put in the chat. Absolutely. And I think you have all clearly been on this journey a little while, right? Like figured out what's worked for you. Would anybody, anybody, we can go to Eric and Ryan, but Brian, Andrew, feel free to weigh in too.
Yeah.
How did you learn to manage your health and your health care? What helped you kind of get better with doing that? It's a really big task. It's really challenging. And Andrew, I saw your hand was up, please.
Oh, that was for the last part, but I can put it in the comments. I wait until afterwards. Go on, I don't want to interrupt the full, so go ahead.
Okay.
The app is really good, so check it out.
Yeah, Eric, do you want to kind of share with us how you got better at managing your own health and your health care? Because it can be really tough.
Well, I got better by managing my own health by talking with people that are close to me, volunteering for the community, and looking for other resources such as relaxation and music.
That's great. Anything else I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut you off, Eric. Anything else you wanted to add there?
No, I'm okay.
That's really helpful. I love that you kind of hit on the relaxation component too. Brian, please go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Did you say me? That was my bad.
Ryan, you go. Ryan,
Okay.
go.
And you'll go next, Brian. Sounds good.
Okay. Thank you. I've been on this journey for a while. I've been out of high school all the way since 2017. I've been working some. I went to an in-person college, living on campus where I was surrounded by people, and then at SUNY Empire I did online. So it was a lot of learning experience, and I think that mental health is a continuous journey that involves self-awareness, self-care, and help when it's needed. And as you're becoming aware, you can like take note of things and you can kind of get better at it. I think Brian said something about maybe having a journal.
Thanks so much, Ryan. I love that aspect of just self-awareness. Yeah, which kind of to me, right, means learning what is helpful, what you like, what you don't like, et cetera. And then advocating is then kind of telling other people that in some way, right? Communicating that to other folks. Yeah. Brian, please.
Learning your healthcare is a continuous journey, and learning how to manage it. For me, I've been on this journey for a very long time. 10 years before, my diagnosis of what I have. And so like being HIV positive, I've had to really learn how to manage stuff, but also being in recovery of sorts. There's been, I guess, nutrient deficiency, and I have a lot of medicine that I have to take. So I've literally used social media to learn by linking up to other resources, other groups, like-minded people like myself. To be honest, I joined, it's a really crazy thing, but I joined an essential oil company. I'm not going to talk about it. I don't do it anymore. It's so long ago. I'm not going to say the name or anything because I'm not here to promote nothing because I don't do that anymore. But that's kind of like how my health journey began, because I was sick of taking medicine because I was prescribed so much going through life of all this stuff that like I came to a point to where I was like, I'm done taking meds. I don't want to do this anymore. And I want to find another health way and find other avenues, because there is other paths to where I was always taught and told that there's a path, there's medicine path, and then there's you're just crazy, like that's what I was told. But it's not the truth. There's so multitudes of paths out there. And so like I had to learn how to manage each one of those paths. My neuro path, my HIV path, they're all different for me. And so like it just took me connecting with different people and trial and error through many different things, but then also just utilizing, like I went to college in 2007. Like there was very limited resources when it came to anything like this in school. So like it's completely upgraded. So now that I see what's there, and like I guess I say I advocate for other people more than I've ever advocated for myself for these services. Because I've spoke up, but it's just taking trial and error and connecting with other people, like going to our school conferences and going to our school events. Because if I didn't, I don't think I would have met the ladies that got me into these chairs where I'm standing today or sitting. And I don't think I would be, as much as I'm overwhelmed and stressed because I live in a chaotic life. I'm ADHD. I manage it in a certain way. And it's been the help and the support of the resources from Empire State, to be honest, and their out resourcing that they have, and all there's so many labels, I can't remember them all and all the titles, but I know they're there, and I know there's so many links, and they have it all, and I'm part of all of them, but I got a lot I'm learning, and there's just too many things up here. So, but without taking those, and trial and error and seeing what works for me, what doesn't work, and hear from other people. Like it's just finding and creating your own unique path, especially when you're neurodivergent. You need your own unique path because we are all different, but unique. So that's it. I just rambled for a really long time. Sorry.
No, we love it. Thank you, Brian. Thanks to everybody again for just like your openness. Brian, so much of what you said, I think really aligns with what Ryan was kind of talking about in terms of just that self-awareness and really that ownership of like, where do I want my life to go, and where do I want my health journey to go, and what's making me feel good, what's not making me feel good, and how do I want to move forward with it. So yeah, thanks sincerely. I'm going to put the next question in the chat. We would love to hear if anybody has kind of a specific barrier or barriers, right? So challenges that really made it hard to manage your health or manage your health care. What were those, and how did you kind of move past it? I'm going to go to you, Andrew, if that's okay.
I'm sure I can see I can do, and I'm gonna say, because a lot of my health, I don't sound crazy. To kind of not be on anything, don't have too much going on there. I still have no idea how I got myself to that point. But I did say I made some smart moves over time. Moved away from Soga and went into more black coffee. I find with the Dunkin' Starbucks every now and then. Tempted to grab one tomorrow. But try to go that Nature's that Nature's brand that's in grocery stores. But for actual barriers, I guess it's hard because I guess I can go the dental. Well, dental cost wise, it just mean like I have to be really careful what I spend, unless because I didn't really have like big medical insurance when I used to be full-time, so I had to kind of had no choice to make it work. I don't know if that counts as a barrier. I'm a really different case, so like you hear, like everyone else has very different like health circumstances. So I hope that technically counts.
No,
Because I used to have Pepsis and all that other crap, and then God forbid, then Crystal Pepsi was a thing. A lot of people enjoyed when I had one on there. Just the novelty of having like a 90s drink coming back from the dead, but it was bad for my teeth. Yep, seen it for going back to dentist, realizing that I should just make a step. So I hope that work as a barrier, but I don't have too many barriers unless maybe picky eater. I guess there's that too. Trying to work up more greens or being conscious of that. Not eat the same stuff, but I kind of balance that in comfort foods. I tell my students this at my school. My comfort foods are kind of fries. I was telling one about a place that I like, so being conscious of just having the occasional greens every now and then. So I hope those count. Not too
Those are
like
great.
I'm not too. I guess I'm like not too effective for now. So
Andrew,
I hope it counts.
No, Andrew, this is great, and I think it really highlights
Oh,
all the areas that are
okay,
that
cool.
fall into health.
You can tell I
Yeah,
don't
so
talk about this often.
yeah, thinking
Also,
about
Ryan has his hand up, so
okay.
afterwards he after finish he can go, and then we have another person here. So, yep, Don, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. But yeah, I mean, thinking about dental care, and I think financial barriers are a huge one for all of these things, right? And dental, even sometimes when you have, maybe insurance or Medicaid, dental can still be more expensive.
I
Vision,
have one final thing. I'm sorry.
please go ahead.
If anyone's still like before 26, just take advantage of your parents' plan with dental stuff because let's just say wisdom teeth alone was like over $2,000 for all four of mine 2 years ago. I remember everything. And I actually did knock myself out. I just did it on the spot. I also needed to drive. I didn't want to take up too much time. I didn't want to disrupt my dad's work, so I just drove off. And they
No.
told me I could have iced coffees that made it a lot better. So something cold. So I was able to have that. They're not been mad at me for over 2 years. I did that. So yeah, dental stuff. Want to bring it up because they're low the cost. So please, if you're under 26 or whatever in Newark, yeah, take advantage of that. Like it's not that bad. So
Yeah.
let's see if you want dental money. But anyway, I don't want to just interrupt any of my colleagues here. So go.
Okay, sounds good. Ryan, I'll go to you next.
All right, so it sounds like some of us are pretty conscious about some of our struggles and what we're dealing with. So and there's a level of self-awareness to it. So I was wondering, Brian was talking about dealing with some chaos, but I think there is a way to organize some parts of life. Sometimes I use like routine apps or calendars, or maybe I'll use like a notebook too. And even for alarms, if you do the alarms on a smart home or your phone, you could do it not just for getting up in the morning at times, but you could actually put a text saying what it is. So you could also have like, take your garbage out Sunday night at like 6 o'clock, or you could have take your meds at 7 p.m. There's all kinds of things you could set up to help organize a lot more of the regular stuff. So then you have more time to focus on the present as some of the chaotic stuff might pop up, like Bryant was talking about dealing with. So I was wondering, some of the experiences that you guys have had and any of tools that you guys might have used to stay more organized.
That's a great recommendation, Ryan, and that's a great question. Brian, do you want to respond to Ryan's question, or did you have kind of another point to make?
I can do both, a little bit of both. So, for me, the tools that I view, first let me say my barriers because getting into mental health is a barrier. There's so for me, I need that person to talk to. I need to work my things out that I can't get out in my head. So like in my community wise, like if I didn't have other resources, which I know I could use, in my community, finding a therapist or someone that's that nature that one either takes my insurance or two has spots that are open and available is like finding gold on the side of the road right now. So that barrier is really hard. I'm going to be reaching out here soon because I've done all my outlets of what I could do here. So like that's something I'm going to be reaching out for help through all of everything that I have for services at Empire. Now, I've had also barriers of this sounds really weird, but I'm a very well together neurodivergent, but my ADHD, time management, and my communication is somewhat discombobulated. And having people take me seriously in an actual healthcare setting has been a very hard thing, especially with my background. So like it's like, haha, yeah, you're just a joke, you know? And like so actually getting certain things have been a struggle, and it was a barrier. But I came together, I built a community, I built my confidence up by owning these things actually, and using my labels, titles, and all of that that were supposed to like take me out or not be a friend of mine, or people told me I was going to be a bad person, or I was never going to get a degree, or I was always going to be stupid, or just the things and stigma internalized that they world put me in. Those were all barriers. Like, and by grouping with the panelists like this, above, below, on the side, and the ladies that are in this, it's helped me build my own community. And social media platforms these days are absolutely phenomenal. But those barriers, if it weren't for hearing other people's stories and learning I'm not alone, and that there is people out there that will listen and believe. And sometimes it takes going through a few support networks and people and things until you find the right connection, you know. And once you find that connection, you find that person, and hopefully they stick. So, but barriers, yes, there's lots of them, but you can get over them with a support network. That's number one. And using your resources, that's my number one thing. But advocating for myself now is a big thing, to where like when I'm in a professional, if I don't feel I'm getting the right treatments, I make sure I speak up in there, or I go to the office managers. So like I'll even go above now, but I've learned that through my, having to stick up for myself because of being in recovery and having health issues. So speaking up for yourself is very important. Don't ever be scared to do that. And if you ever are, please reach out. Reach out to somebody and say, hey, I need you to help me speak this out. Because I've had to do that. That's how I learned my voice, is I needed somebody to speak it out for me. So yes.
Thank you so much, Brian. And I feel free, if you wanted to respond to any of the tools, I know that Ryan inquired about, feel free to add that. Yeah.
Yes. So for me, tools, there's a lot of tools that I use that help me manage, my healthcare. I have them all right here. Apps are number one thing. TikTok groups. Okay. I know it sounds crazy, but I go into different TikTok groups and Facebook groups. Both of them, if you search for a neurodivergent and type in hashtags for me, that's how I found a huge community. So like I like stimulation. I need sometimes that stimulation which gets me going. So even though TikTok can be a crucial nightmare for me, but at the same exact time in the morning, it's what activates my brain for me. I use that. Other tools that I do use is I use iCalendar, and it's very important to me. And I use a talk to text microphone when writing things down or recording. I record things. So I record now. I have an Apple Watch. I know not everyone has an Apple Watch, but you have a phone or something that can record. If you're talking like this with someone, how this is being recorded, I record certain I don't know what you want to call it. I record certain scenarios, certain interactions with myself, not like strangers or anything, but to help me remember certain topics, certain things. So those are some of the tools that I use, but I'm a paper and pen person, to be 100% honest, because I have to write it out for my brain to remember it. As much as I love technology and I have an iCalendar, I have to put it there to remind myself. But discipline is the number one thing that is my evil of all, and I think it's a lot of us. But those are some of the tools I use. Social groups. I believe in creating community, and I've done that through Instagram. Guys, feel free, anyone to reach out to me on Instagram at Bryant the Vibe. I built a community there, and I follow a lot of hashtags that have to do with what my brain thinks, and those are my tools, because people in lived experience are my tools. And then I just try to learn from my failures. And then I use my outsources of my student mentor, those are my tools, to be honest, is my student success, my student mentor, my Oh my God, there's so many. They're all in my corners. I've got them all in my corners. So I use them and templates. I have templates of when I'm talking to my health providers that I've already typed out. And I've worked with somebody to type them out. So if I need to send a message to my doctor, to my nurse, to someone like that, it's already in. I have an Apple phone, so it's in my notes. I just have to copy it, put in the date, my name, the little bubbles, fill it in. And that's a huge tool because like we have to talk to so many people that have to do with healthcare that like it can be exhausting to write everything out. And me, I'm very bad at grammar. I skip words because I say them in my head and I don't type them out. It's just really bad. So I have to have that tailored out, or some people don't even get my message correctly and they get the complete opposite. And I'll have like a toenail appointment and I didn't mean to ask for a toenail appointment, but somehow that's what they got in the doctor's message when it was really about my mental thought about my toe, so I just don't get my words out. So I have to have templates. So yes.
Thank you, Brian. That's wonderful. Yeah. And again, I think just highlighting, you highlighted a lot of things, but it sounds like social support and belonging and community has been just such a part of your overall well-being and really contributes to your advocacy. I think that's just awesome. And
and acceptance.
Yeah.
Acceptance.
No, please.
Because that's one thing I think a lot of us that come from different backgrounds, different cultures, but all share the same titles or same diagnosis or same things, but we all look different. And it's like, what the heck, and it can be frustrating. And like for me, like you see my whole neck turning red right now. You don't see the sweat pouring out me. I may be able to sit here and talk to you guys like this, but the inside of me, when I get off this and I'm able to shut this camera off, I'm done for the night because this just took all my energy of what I can produce and give, So like accepting that that's me and that's okay. And I don't have to be nervous in front of this camera and I can talk and talk. But as soon as this is done, I know it's going to deplete me, but I know that because I'm going to be like, all right, I gave it my all. I tried to stay together, keep my words, not talk so fast and breathe at the same time. And that's a lot for me to do. So like accepting that and knowing that that's okay. And that's as good as I can do is probably one of the number one things you can do for your healthcare.
I love that, Brian. Thank you. Thanks for your vulnerability and for using so many resources to be here and giving this to us. We're really grateful. I'm going to go ahead and put our next question in the chat. And I'd love to hear from Eric and then Ryan, if that works. And then Andrew, please feel free if you have anything you'd like to add. Is there anything you all, and you've already shared, but is there anything else you'd like to share with us about your mental health journey and just mental health well-being? I think you might be muted, Eric.
Well, I would like to share that it's always good to talk to someone about your problems and you shouldn't be afraid to talk about anything you have going on in your life. And mental health is very important. There are several different ways to manage it, such as clearing out your mind and just doing something you enjoy.
Can you hear me? It says I'm unmuted, but then.
No, I couldn't hear you before.
Okay, but you can now. Perfect. Thank you. It sounds like you're really kind of speaking to that, just like relaxation and and identifying things that bring you joy and engaging in those. That's awesome. Ryan, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, sure. So time management is like a really big one. I think it's good to have like a variety of your stuff spread out. if you can afford to do that. That way, so you don't get overwhelmed and burn out. And also, it's really hard to pour from an empty cup. So, and try to put your mental health and physical health right up there. The good diet, good sleep, like we're talking about, hygiene and all that. Even though we might want to put a lot into like our work, our family, and our college, um, putting the self-care up there is still very important. It should be in your top priorities. If you make sure that you're in the best shape you can be, you can handle stress and do more easier, better than having your health as a lower priority. Also, give yourself compassion all you can and respond positively. Also, even when you're hearing negative thoughts, or take a break and use coping skills or rest. If you are like anxious or worried about something, or you don't feel, there's always ways that you can try to help respond to that. Don't ignore anxieties, because that stuff that still exists in the back of your mind. It's better when you address it. A lot of our processes are automatic, just like walking and everything in our mind. And even like, you know, our anxieties and stuff, there's like words in our head that like that aren't even like really to the top of our head, and then stuff just kind of comes up. Seek help. Don't hesitate to seek professional help when needed. Reach out to doctors, therapists, mentors, build a support system, and be be patient. Use time management the best you can, and also keep your priorities straight.
Brian, fabulous advice. Thank you. And Brian, I saw you nodding. Anything that really resonated with you that Brian shared?
Yeah, actually, it's really good that you said coping mechanisms, because I mean, mental health is a forever journey. If you've gone through something traumatic, or if you struggle